All right, so today we're gonna have 3 parts. You're gonna need a chair or a countertop for the end part, and if you want, you may want something to hold between your ankles when we come to standing, because we're going to do some ankle and balance work. So if you tend to be a person who rolls to the side, so their feet on the outside or even the inside, you might want a placeholder. So you could definitely use a ball between your ankles. So I'm going to have that nearby. And then we're going to use a weight to go behind your leg to do a little bit of hip strengthening, just to wake up the glute muscles and hamstrings a little bit. So if you want to have that, you can have anywhere 2 pounds to 10 pounds, whatever works for you. And the first thing we're going to do is start on your hands and knees. So still building on our hip exercises and hip mobility and strength, and we're just building it into balance work. So if you need to go back, just check out one of the previous videos of just simple hip mobility. So we'll just start with a little cat-cow, which is more spinal than hip, but there's a little hip joint in there. Just do 2 of those. Rounding your spine, I like to lead with my tail all the way through my head as I round, and then lead with your tail as you go back up. Then find somewhere for your body that feels not too rounded and not too arched. That's kind of in the middle. And you feel like you could balance a foam roller or some yoga blocks across your back. You're going to keep that. So head, chest, belly really light or lifted away from the mat as you hinge back, allowing your butt bones, your ischial tuberosities, your sits bones to widen. So your pelvic floor bones widen and then you come forward. But really what we're thinking is, can we let the femurs roll in the hip socket versus my pelvis and spine doing all of that work? One more. We're just going to kind of breeze through this. Again, you're going to take one leg out to the side. Again, if you need to dig a little deeper into this, by all means, go back to those previous videos. I'll link them below. And you're just breathing as you go back and forth. Again, I'm trying to keep my pelvis as level as possible. And just take a moment when you find that balance between the hands and the shin, that bottom shin. Take one time and just reach that arm up, taking a little twist. Breathe there. If you feel up to it and your spine can allow it, you thread the needle. So you thread that lifted arm underneath the other one. I'm trying to keep my bottom hip from really slinging out to the side and let my ribs rotate. You may not go all the way down. You may go all the way down. Just depends on the body. Then I just want you to come back to center. Take the leg that's out to the side and bend it and just wiggle it forward. And it's pretty far forward, and there's no doesn't have to be an elegant strategy or anything. You're going to go forward. If you need more quad stretch, you roll to kind of the thigh part of the knee, and you really bring that back hip forward. And then you lift your toes of your front leg as you straighten the front leg, stretching back. Again, I'm still thinking head, chest, belly lifted away from the mat, but my sits bones reaching back, and then you're going to go forward. Use your hands. If it feels like the floor is too far away, like your hips are super tight, you're going to stretch back. Use some yoga blocks or even the weight that you have. You can kind of put your hands on that. One more. It's about 3 passes in each direction. And back. And then what we're going to do is take the front foot, bring it towards the bottom foot. If you want to add a little weight for this, you can always grab your weight and just kind of have it in front of you. Just hold that somewhere so it gives you a little tiny extra load. This is not like weightlifting. It's just a little bit of extra load just to challenge your balance. So now what we're going to do is you're pushing through the bottom leg. You're going to see, can you lift this top heel, front heel, and then maybe the front toes, and then you're going to open out to 45 degrees. You're going to lunge out to that 45, come back, and then lift and bring it center. You don't have to have the weight for this, right? You could do it without the weight. You're going to lift that leg up, open out, lunge out on that diagonal, come back, bring it in. And one more, lifting and opening, going out, coming back. This time, you're going to bring that leg all the way underneath you. You're now going to take that weight behind that knee. You're going to grab it with that back of that knee. So bring the foot up, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, head, chest, belly, nice and light. You're going to have to push through your bottom shin that doesn't have the weight to allow that other knee to lift up and bring that knee towards your belly, towards your chest, and then slowly bring it back and up behind you for 1 and 2. Trying to stay steady and stable from head to tail, pelvis to rib cage as I move my leg around. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, 10, and then we'll bring that all the way down. Take the weight back in front of you. Find your hands and knees. This time before you start, I just want you to make a little circle, like you're just circling your body, your trunk on your arms and your legs. Go the other direction. Find center and go back and forth 3 times for 3. Breathing 2 and 1. Take the other leg out to the side. Again, bend that knee, bring the foot back a little bit. So instead of going straight out from your side, you could take it back. You could also keep your knee bent. You go back and forth. Breathing. 3. Then we take that straight leg arm out to the side. You press through your bottom arm to open up. Take a nice big inhale. Exhale if your body feels up to it. Thread that arm. If it doesn't, don't thread. Just stay up there and breathe with that arm reaching. Can I keep that? My bottom hip just wants to go out to the side, so I'm going to try and wrangle this hip towards center. Shift my body weight a little bit towards my bottom hand, or my top arm in this perspective. Press. Bring that arm open and back down. Bring the leg out to the side, bring it forward. And then you're gonna go forward. Again, use your weight if you need a little bit more support. You can bend that leg and pressing, and you're gonna go back. And then you go forward, and you're just thinking, stretch the front of the back hip, stretch the back of the front hip. And one more. If you're extra tight and you need to spend a little bit more time here, spend a little more time here. All right, with or without the weight, you're going to kind of share the weight between your front and your back leg. Bring your front leg closer to your bottom leg. Weight or no weight, you're going to then practice your balance on this bottom leg. So you're gonna see, can I lift my top leg up, open it to 45, go out on that diagonal, come back, bring it up and center. Lift, open, out. Go out to 45 and lunge out. Coming back, bring that leg back to center. One more, opening out, going out, in. Then we're gonna bring that leg all the way underneath you and take the weight behind the knee. From there, press through your bottom shin, press through your arms, head, chest, belly lifted. Bring that bottom knee towards your navel and then bring it back behind you for 1. And 2, and 3, breathing 4, and 5. Reminder to keep your head, chest, and belly lifted away from the mat. 6, and 7. Don't think about how big the range is. Think about your movement and your control and the balance of the movement in your hip joint versus how stable your spine is. 2 more. 1 more. And then bring that leg down. Take the weight forward and you're going to place it to the side. If you need to stretch back into a little child's pose, go for it. If it's too much in your knees, just go butt up, head down, and breathe. And then when you're ready, you are going to make your way onto your back. So, rolling maybe from that child's pose to your side and then onto your back. If you're using a weight, you're going to grab it here. If you're not using a weight, your arms are just going to rest down by your side. Feet are nice and comfortable. If you've got a weight or 2 weights, you're going to just take them to your hips. If not, just have your arms resting down by your side on the mat. Let your shoulder blades drop. Feel your feet on the ground. A comfortable stance for you. I don't care today if you're super parallel or a little bit wide or a little turned out. Just don't be any extreme. Just find a place that's kind of comfortable. You can curl your butt under as we go into bridges. You could curl and articulate the spine up, or you can just hinge in your hip. I'm going to work on hinging today just because I really want to work on that hip joint articulation, right? So I'm going to have a little tension in my abdomen so my ribs and my back don't get too involved. And I'm really gonna push up against the weight here, and I've got the weight kind of right in front of my hip bones. Make sure that your head and neck are not turned to the side like mine was. And we're just gonna go down and up for 10. And breathing 9. Shoulders and neck are nice and easy. Upper back and feet are making the contact. 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then coming down. With or without the weight, you are going to bring your feet a little closer to center, right? Again, with or without the weight. You're going to press up into a baby bridge. Again, if you articulate it up or if you just hinged up, it's fine with me. I've got this little bit of weight, and all we're going to do is see if we can lift one leg up, which changes where the weight is. Maybe I have to shift the weight a little bit to my other hip. Now, did my hip swing out to the side or did I corral it? And then all we're going to do is just go up and down. 5, 4, my belly's still a little tension in the belly, so my back's not doing the work. My hip is really awake. Bring yourself into your baby bridge with both feet down. Shift your weight a little bit to the other side. Bring the other leg up. Try it on the other side for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring both feet down. Come all the way down. Take your weight out of your way to the side. You're going to roll to your side. Pad up however you need to with your head. Make sure that we have this line from our waist to the mat has a little bit of lift, and your bottom leg is bent and your top leg's going to reach forward. Now I have the chair here where I'll have a little contact with, which is nice to have it there. And all I'm going to do is see, can I get ankle, knee, hip, ribs, head, so heel to head in alignment as I lower and lift. So I'm getting glute medius to wake up. Now, if this feels really easy, 1, check to make sure you're not just doing it from your waist, that you're really getting into the side of this hip. 2 is that you could add a resistance band, or you could even put that weight on the side of your leg. It's not exactly the same, but it does give you a little bit more feedback, right? I can really feel the difference when I add that weight to the side of my leg. And we're going to do 3 more of these. 3 and 2 and 1, and then we'll bring that leg in, bring it down. Use your hands to come up, bringing your bottom elbow underneath your shoulder, making sure the shoulder doesn't come too far forward. Take your other hand either to the floor, the hip, or the ceiling, and you're just going to lift up. You're just going to breathe here. I don't care if the knees stay together or separate a little bit, but I want you to feel you're pushing down to lift up, right? Use gravity rather than always feel like you're fighting it. Use that pressing down to lift you up. Lengthen. Breathing like it's easy peasy. And then bring the hips down. Press with that bottom arm. Swing your legs around. We do the other side. So head to heel, nice long line. Add the weight. Whew, that was tough to get it from that angle. And then your heel to head. Wrapping in a little bit from my navel to the floor, lifting that up a tiny bit, and then lifting and lowering for 8 to 10, somewhere in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You've got a weight. Bring it out of your way. Come onto your bottom forearm, elbow under the shoulder. Make sure the shoulder's not forward. So squeezing the back of that armpit. Press down to come up. And maybe the arm reaches up. Maybe the hands by your side. If your neck gives you trouble in this position for right now because it needs to build strength, draw your chin down and look towards your bottom armpit. If it's too much in the shoulder to do this, practice doing these at the wall, but with your arms straight. I have a video for that where you can practice that strength at the wall. I'll link it below. Just keep breathing. Just practice your stamina here. And then when you're ready, come all the way down. You're going to come back to your hands and knees. Make sure your hands are underneath your shoulder, maybe a tiny bit wider than normal. You're gonna tuck your toes. You're gonna step one foot back towards one corner. And as you do that, think about the length from not just your head and tail, but your breastbone, your chest, and your pubic bone. And add a little glute work here to help tie into your core support. Then step your other foot wide and back. Hold this and rock a little bit on your toes, right? So here you go with this ankle and ball of the foot and toe articulation even in your plank. Now, if this is impossible right now, just do it here and just flex and point your feet, right? And then when you're ready, you bend the knees, you press with your arms, and you either walk your hands back or your feet forward or a little bit of both so you get weight back onto your feet, specifically your heels. You use your hips, not your knees straightening. Your hips come over your ankles to come all the way up. Find your surface, chair, countertop, wall, sofa, whatever you need. If you're using something between your ankles, go ahead and place it. If you tend to be a roll-in person, if you've got one of those cool infinity bands, a circular band, you can put that around the outside. And you're just gonna squeeze this and you're gonna lift the heels up and you're gonna lower down. And that's simple. And we're gonna lift up, let your shoulders relax, lower down. Now, as I lift, sometimes I kind of wanna sling my pubic bone forward and kind of lean back in my back. So I've got to get my ribs over my pelvis, that line from breastbone to pubic bone really nice and stable, and get my hips over those ankles. And so I'm minimizing my shift forward and back, and I'm really just going straight up like an elevator, right? So straight up and straight down. And I'm exploring that, right? It's not going to be perfect every time. I don't want you to ever think that balance work is static. It's not. It should be, balance work is really about adaptability, right? You have to be able to, oh, I caught myself. We're gonna do 2 more here. And just keep working on it. So don't feel like you need to be perfect, you need to start it over. Just keep working and moving through it. All right, then we're gonna lift up, we're gonna bend the knees. You're gonna hold there. This is where I don't like the ball, but I also don't tend to roll out too much with my ankles. I tend to be a roll-in person. So you're gonna have your heels lifted and your knees are bent. And again, shoulders over hips. You're gonna lower the heels. Maybe they touch the floor, maybe they don't. And then you're gonna lift back up. And your body, from like my hips to my head, does not go up and down. It just stays the same. I've got my surface to hang on to, and I'm just lifting and lowering. And you're breathing. And your quads will start to wake up a little bit as you wait here. Notice I'm not pushing my chair forward. And we're gonna do 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Reach those heels down. Engage heel to glute. All right, next up, we're gonna practice stepping back. So 1 heel lifts. This leg is gonna be the move. We're gonna do 5 on one side, 5 on the other. Then we're gonna adjust our settings just a little bit and do 5 on one side, 5 on the other. And then you'll be done. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have whatever grip you need. If you wanna explore nothing, try nothing. I'm gonna lift that heel, then lift the toes. I'm gonna step that foot back, and I'm staying pretty up and down. So I'm staying pretty vertical. I'm going down the amount that feels comfortable. Maybe I can get that back knee down, but really I wanna talk to that front hip. And then I'm gonna dig into that front foot and come up. And then doing that again. Going back, 2. Back and down, 3, 4, just 5. Staying as vertical as possible. Switch sides, lift the other heel, pick the toes up, step that foot back, 1. Let your shoulders relax, ribs over pelvis. Breathing, 3, 4, and 5. If ever you need to add weight to this, or you want to take the surface away so you're really working on that balancing, do that, right? So your adjustment now is we're going to do the same thing. You lift that first leg up. You're going to step it back, but this time instead of staying up and down, you're really going to fold over that front leg. So as I fold over that front leg, I'm going down, right? Like I'm grabbing, I'll move the ball there. Like I'm going to grab the ball, but you don't have to take your hands away. Then I'm gonna come up And I really got to work that standing leg hip to get me up over it. And you go down, push to that foot, foot to hip, 2. And 3. You get to pick the amount of range that feels right for you today. 4. And 5. Switch sides. Lift the other heel up. And you go down. All right, so really fold, not collapse my body. I'm folding, I'm hinging in that hip joint, right? So all that hip mobility work, hip strengthening work when we're kneeling needs to translate to when you're standing. 3. And 4. And I'm moving kind of quickly. You don't have to move at this pace. 5. I'm going to do a bonus one on this side. Folding over that leg. 6. Now, just as your tester, step back from whatever surface you're working with. You're going to keep yourself adaptable. Make sure there's nothing for you to fall on. Like if you've got a weight, make sure to move it out of the way. Because I find weights are in the studio the most injury-prone thing ever. So slowly lift your heels up. Take a moment there. Just feel what that feels like. Could you look out into your room? Could you find one point to focus on? Explore that. Maybe you take your hands in front of you, you follow a hand. You follow a hand, right? Whoop. See, I lost it, so I'll come back to it. Look away from the hand. Look away from the hand. Just explore that. Lower the heels. Lift one heel up, one foot up. Maybe you just lift the heel, maybe you lift the whole foot, maybe you really get that knee up there. Practice the same thing, bring your arms out. Follow the hand. Follow the other hand. Whoa. Look away from the hand. And then look away from the hand. Try the other side. Lift just the heel. Keep your toes down if you need to. Or lift the foot. Really lift that knee. Follow the hand. Doesn't matter which side. Just follow the hand on each arm. I'm looking above my hand, which is very different than if I were to actually look at my hand, right? Close versus out in the world. Look away from your hand and center. Look away from your hand and center, and bring everything down and rest. All right, until next time, keep moving.